Hey there, welcome to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I'm the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock, hard rock, heavy metal, and other forms of rock music. So it's Monday night look back at a classic rock album. I got my Black Sabbath shirt on, and we're going with this album tonight, Dehumanizer by Black Sabbath, featuring Ronnie James Dio. Okay, so let's give you the vitals about this album to get underway. Released on June the 22nd, 1992 in the EU, European Union. And then released a week or so later on June the 30th, 1992 in the US and likely Canada as well. Okay, studio was the Rockfield Monmouth in Wales. And length is 52 minutes, which is longer than most Sabbath albums that I own anyways. Label was the IRS and Reprise in the US and Canada, and produced by Reinhold Mack. Okay, featured on this album for Black Sabbath, Ronnie James Dio on lead vocals, Tony Iommi on guitars, Geezer Butler on bass, and Vinny Appice on drums. This is the Mob Rules lineup re-establishing itself here. And also Jeff Nichols appears as keyboardist. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, this is the album here itself in the back, picture of the boys. That's what the album looks like. It's black, dark. This is a nice picture of the four of them. Geezer, Tony, Vinny, Ronnie James. Another shot of them. And there's about a 4 or 5 page episode of how they got back together for this album. So anyways, I'm going to read the album songs off of the inside flap because I cannot make out the stuff on the back of the album. It's just too small. So we'll start by talking about the songs on the album, which are what makes music great, right? It's the songs. Computer God, good track, good start off track, like it just well. After All the Dead, another good track, like that quite a bit. TV Crimes, a little bit different than some of normal Sabbath stuff, but still really good. Letters from Earth, a bit of a different song as well. However, at the beginning I kind of found that everything on the album sounded the same. It took me a while to get into it, as you probably heard me if you listened to This Week, my This Week report earlier on this week. Master of Insanity, of course, is the big hit, and I think the big song on the album. I like that quite a bit. And then you get the Time Machine, which I think is the best track on the album. Sins of the Father, another good track in the same kind of light as Letters from Earth. Too Late, more of a slower track, I think. And then which I think is another great track. Buried Alive, great track. And then the Wayne's World Time Machine song from Wayne's World, the version from Wayne's World. But, the big thing about this album is that you get back together 4 great musicians who produced the Heaven and Hell album, which I think is among my favorite top 5 albums of all time. This album is more like that album than it is like the Mob Rules, which had some varied stuff on it, some slower, methodical, heavy stuff, and then some fast-paced stuff on that album as well. This one is more like the Heaven and Hell album, I think, which is more straightforward, more heavy rock. I think this album initially I didn't like because it didn't have a lot of variedness to it. However, I've grown to like it quite a bit. I don't know if I'll like it more than the Mob Rules. It's going to need some time to see if it has the longevity to compete with that album. I don't think it'll catch Heaven and Hell. Heaven and Hell is just, to me, a masterpiece. But anyways, it's still a really good album. Dio's voice is strong on this album, as it is on every album that he plays, and starts initially right at the beginning, and he just stays up there. I just think he's classic Dio on this album. The riffing by Tony Iommi and the guitar stuff is first rate. Black Sabbath. The quality of the whole album is really good. I think Geezer is frontal as well here, and you can't say enough about Vinny Appice. Vinny Appice or Vinny Appice. I think it's Appice, so that's the one I'm going with. He's heavy. He has a good Bill Ward sound to him. Perfect drummer for a perfect album. Excuse me. I've been doing albums for a while today, so I'm getting kind of tired. Anyways, I think this, like I said, has more, to me it has more of a Heaven and Hell feel than it does like a Mob Rules. But anyways, it's a real solid, heavy album. Some really solid guitar stuff, really sounding a lot like what I remember of Sabbath. And I'm just again disappointed that they did just yet another one off. Like, they couldn't get along again to continue with that. They had to wait until they got back together and change the name to Heaven and Hell. Still awesome album. It's too bad that Black Sabbath couldn't do more stuff with Dio, but I prefer him over all the other vocalists they've had. And they've had some good ones. You know, Ozzy Osbourne, Ian Gillan, Tony Martin, all good vocalists, but I just think Dio is that much better than them all. So there you have it, the Dehumanizer album, which has been on my playlist now for 8 months. I think since I started the show, this is the longest album that's been on my playlist. I don't think anybody's close to it. Well, maybe a few close to it, but I think it's technically the longest, I think, playing on the playlist. And it's not faded enough to take it off the playlist yet. So I wanted to do it today, though, because that could happen, and I like to do stuff when it's still kind of popular with me. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Monday Night Classic Rock Album Look Back, featuring Black Sabbath and Ronnie James Dio, and on the Dehumanizer album. So if you like this episode, please like, subscribe, let me know how you feel about this album, where it ranks amongst the Dio-led Sabbath stuff and the Sabbath stuff all together. Anyways, have a good one. Bye.